Hey everybody, it's David with Android Police, and we are at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and I am holding a Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, as you know, we already did a quick look video at the S7 and S7 Edge, but we've had a little more time with the phones now, enough to form some opinions, get some more information about them critically, and just generally become more familiar with the devices. So the S7, which I'm not holding, is the standard version, and that's going to be smaller. Going to have a smaller screen. It doesn't have the curved display. It does have the curved back, although it's more curved on the back than the S7 Edge is. I guess owing to the fact that the top of the display doesn't curve in like this device does. So we talked with Samsung about a few things, and so as it was originally rumored and has been confirmed in the last few days, the American and Chinese versions of the phone will have a Snapdragon 820 processor, whereas the European world versions of the phone will have a Exynos chipset. Samsung says they're roughly comparable in battery life and performance. We'll have to see how that plays out in reality, obviously, but both chipsets should be very capable on paper. The device we're using here is a world version with an Exynos chipset. I don't know that they have any demo units with the Snapdragon 820. I'm not sure about that at this point. We also learned, interestingly, so, this S7 and S7 Edge, they bring back the Microsd slot, something users have been asking for. Well, when Android Marshmallow was announced, the cries grew even louder because Google announced something called Dockable Storage, which allowed you to use the Microsd slot, which on the S7 and S7 Edge is with the SIM slot up top here, to put in an SD card and adopt it as system storage. To use it for storage of app data and then be encrypted just like it was a part of the system memory. Well, Samsung is not using adoptable storage on the S7 and S7 Edge. It's not something you can turn on. It's possible custom ROMs could do it down the road. I'm not sure about that, though. It may be something that has to be activated in the firmware, but it won't have it. Samsung says the reason for this is Google is discouraging phone and device manufacturers from using it unless specific circumstances apply. Now, what that means is Google is basically, apparently, and this is what we've heard from Samsung, telling manufacturers, well, unless it's an Internet of Things device or something that's stationary and hooked into a wall, you shouldn't use adoptable storage unless you have a very low amount of built-in system memory. So with 32 gigabytes of storage on the S7, Samsung, going under Google's advice, does not use adoptable microSD storage. Now, whether or not Google will agree this is exactly how things are being portrayed, or whether this is an accurate portrayal of the situation, I don't know, because I haven't talked to Google about this yet. But I wouldn't be surprised. The new Nexus phones don't have microSD cards because because Google's never used them on Nexus devices since the Nexus 1. So even though we have adoptable storage in Marshmallow now, the Nexus phones that debuted with Marshmallow don't have them. So it is curious. Apparently the same thing is true of the LG G5. We've not confirmed that with LG, but it has been stated that adoptable storage does not work with it, and I'd assume it's for the same reason, because Google is discouraging OEMs from doing this. Before we linger too long here, we'll go into advanced features. You may have heard about this. Samsung has this new thing called Galaxy Labs, which allows them to test new features in the OS under the guise that they're experimental. So one of those features is to get rid of the app drawer. There's a lot of rumors being floated around about Google maybe wanting to get rid of the app drawer in Android. I'm not sure if that's true, but Samsung and LG both seem to be experimenting with it at a curiously similar time. So I'm really not sure what's going on there. Obviously, you can change the launcher. This isn't anything worth complaining about. It's just something interesting to note. So the phone itself, let's get back into that. The biggest change on this phone is easily going to be the camera, which you will find right there. So Samsung is licensing technology from Canon, and you can't really see what's going on with the camera because I'm holding the phone in a light box, but so that's kind of useless. But Samsung is licensing technology from Canon that allows them to use every pixel on the sensor to increase focus speeds. And this phone focuses incredibly quickly. Let me see if I can get my hand in front of the phone here and just show you, well, it's going to go. So if I go out and back in, and out and back in, it is pretty fast. I'm not sure how well it comes through on the video. It's actually having some difficulty here. But we were testing it in a meeting room earlier, and it is incredibly fast. It is really impressive. How well it'll work on far away subjects or in low light, we haven't tested yet. But initial impressions there, this could hopefully help solve the often annoying issue of hunting on smartphone video with subjects that are going in and out of focus. Like Sony, Samsung has the object tracking for the autofocus. Apparently they had this all the way back on the S6. I wasn't aware of that. So Sony wasn't first with this, and the S7 has it as well. Samsung Pay is still here. Can't launch it because we have no internet connection, but Samsung Pay is just like it is on the Note 5 and S6 Edge Plus. Now, if you're wondering what big hardware changes aside from the chipset and the camera have happened with these phones, you won't find many, actually, aside from the IP68 waterproofing, which is a big deal, definitely. This phone can be submerged and be fine. It's got nano coatings on the internals. It has sealed ports. Now, Samsung doesn't recommend you dunk it and then throw it on the charger or stick in a pair of headphones. Probably not the best idea. But the ports are waterproof, such that water ingress into the internals won't occur. And if water even does get inside, the board itself is coated in a nano coating that should prevent water damage as long as you let the phone dry out. That's pretty impressive, and they do it without making it look like a waterproof phone, which is to say, not with a fiddly port cover or lots of plastic. All the gaskets are internal. None of the waterproof aspect really leaks out into the design of the device. So it looks just like you would expect the new Samsung phone to look. But back to the point about new hardware, well, the screen is the same technology you're going to find in Note 5 and S6 Edge Plus. Nothing new there. The front-facing camera, as far as I'm aware, is similar to those as well. The fingerprint scanner still only works after you've turned on the screen. So it's the same fingerprint scanner, takes the same amount of time, it's not any quicker. It doesn't work from screen off. So there's nothing new there. It's the same speaker here on the bottom that you would find on the Note 5 and S6 Edge Plus. And overall, it feels very similar to those phones, especially the S7 Edge being the larger device. Samsung did say what they've done is they've softened up the edges a lot. Now, some people complain that the Note 5 and the S6 Edge Plus and the original S6 Edge, especially, which I agree with, were too sharp. And so Samsung has softened up the edges of these phones considerably to give them a more natural hand feel. Now, I'm not one to talk about hand feel a lot, but the phone does feel very nice and smooth to hold. It does kind of look like a polished rock, in overall design terms, but it's nice to hold. And as always, Samsung screens really pop on that bright chassis. And this color right here is the new Platinum Silver, which I actually quite like. I like the Platinum Gold, kind of. It was very bright. This is almost as bright as the old Platinum Gold, but it's silver, so it's not quite as obnoxious, I guess. So I really like this color of this phone, and there are other colors as well, obviously. Availability of those colors will depend on market, of course. Software-wise, Samsung claims they've done a lot to enhance battery life and performance. They claim that the memory management on this phone will definitely be noticeably better than that on the S6 Edge Plus and Note 5, which, like the S6 and S6 Edge, had major problems managing multitasking memory, so apps would constantly reflow after you'd open them. So let's open the dialer. Oh, it goes right back to where it was. Let's go even further back in our files here. Oh, look, somebody ran Antutu. Let's see if it just loads right up. It does. So Samsung seems to be, at least based on my initial impression here, quite accurate about the whole memory management thing being noticeably improved. So if true, that's definitely a big benefit. Now, on the battery life side, we obviously can't test here, but this S7 Edge has a 3600 mAh battery, which is even denser than the previous battery Samsung has used. It's a new battery technology. It's allowed them to make a smaller battery cell with greater capacity. I'm guessing not hugely greater, but enough to matter. And they say battery life results early in their testing so far have been very promising. So one of the big complaints about the Samsung phones of last year, battery life could be good, but for a lot of people, it really wasn't. So with Android 6.0 in Doze mode, Samsung's new optimizations to TouchWiz, and the greater battery size overall, we should hopefully find these phones last much longer than their counterparts of last year did, which is going to be a huge relief of a pain point for a lot of people who want to buy these phones. As you'd expect, they ship with Android 6.0.1. Looks like they have the latest security patch, 1st February 2016. And so that is our more complete hands-on with the Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. So thanks for watching, everybody.